Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the fourth ever Jay Stevens podcast. Just like to start by saying, as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the continued support. Thank you for, just showing up. It really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate that people are taking their time to come and watch, even if it's just a few people. If I can affect 200 people, that's kind of the goal, is to just impact somebody. And I do it, partially for me, selfish reasons. I have fun doing it. And yeah, it's a way to express and get things off my chest, I guess. I don't know. um so this is my first podcast after my birthday. Let's go. We turned 18. We've made it 18 years. Thank you to everyone in my life for however long you've been here, however long um, I've known you, you've known me. You have led me to where I am today, and I wouldn't be the same today if I hadn't met everyone that I've met in the course of my life. Special thanks to the boys, everybody in the business. That's our group chat name. Jesse, Donnie, Evan, Kip, Cole, and Sexton. Um, yeah. Thank you guys especially for always being there for me, always encouraging me, um, always being there for long boys' nights together into the wee hours of the morning. And, I touched a lot on all of those guys in the last podcast, so I won't go too much into it. But thank you guys for being with me since middle school, and Jesse since elementary school. I appreciate all of you so much, and thank you guys for all of your support and your friendship. Um, and again, just special thanks to Sexton especially for helping, encourage me and give me some ideas, and for being one of the closest people to me in my life. And thank you for AJP, Andrew and Jeffrey Productions. If you haven't checked us out over there, you should go check out that channel, because it's, we do some funny stuff over there. Anyway, getting into today, I got a couple of topic suggestions which I was, very interested to see and start working on. And one of those was Q&A. So I think we'll start off with a little bit of Q&A, and that's where we'll start for today. So one of my Q&A questions was, what is my favorite part about working at Chick-fil-A? I've been working at Chick-fil-A since June of 2019, and I've had a lot of ups and downs. I'm not going to lie. There was a point where I really did not like working there very much, but it was a time when I was a little bit newer, and I didn't quite know so many people. I didn't have as many friends there as I have now. And I don't know, I felt like I wasn't, cut out for it. I didn't fit in with some of the people around me, so there was a bit of a rough patch. But since then, I've really enjoyed working there. You can never, enjoying work is really hard, and waking up being like, yes, I get to go to work today, is very, very rare. And, that doesn't happen to me very often. But when I get to work with close friends and people who make the job fun, that is a definite upside to working there. I think, I don't know what would be my favorite part about working there. There are a lot of things, but I think it boils down to the relationships that I've built with so many of the people that I work with, managers, coworkers, other team members, things like that, and even the newer staff coming in. Just the relationships that I've been able to build with all of those people have been really special, and they're bonds that I won't ever forget about. especially with Jimmy. Everyone knows about the jokes between myself and Jimmy. Jimmy is one of the most amazing people that I've met there. He's a big Sinatra fan, just like me, so that was really cool to find that common ground. And also shout out to my other managers, uh, Taylor, Casey, one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. Always super nice and super kind, and she doesn't let people mess with her people, and that's something that I admire the most. And then Lauren Paz, thank you, Lauren, for also being amazing, and for telling me that I'm your favorite team member. I won't expose that too much, but it means a lot to me when I get to come in and see a lot of people who are like, "Oh my gosh, Jay's here, yay!" And that makes me really happy. That's probably my favorite part about working there for sure, is when I walk in and people are like excited to see me. It just makes me feel like I'm doing something right, and that you know people are paying attention. um, and that I it makes me feel good as a person that I'm a pleasant person to work with. Um, that that's one thing that I really just love, and that impacts me so much. It makes going into work a lot easier when there are people there who are happy to be around me, and I in turn am happy to be around them. So yeah, that would definitely be my favorite part about working at Chick-fil-A. My next question that I got was, do I think that dolphins could evolve into land mammals? Um, Absolutely, 100%. And it's really not even gonna be that hard, because they can breathe on the air, in the air. Sorry, not on the air. That doesn't make sense. Um, and I think all they have to do. I don't know how many of you have seen The Other Guys, that movie, but there's a scene where they talk about a big tuna fish army um, going onto land and killing a bunch of lions, and they develop a series of breathing apparatus using kelp. So I think if dolphins were going to turn into land mammals, that it would have something to do with kelp, so that they could, not have to worry about going back in the water, and then eventually they would evolve and become a whole new awesome dolphin thing. And dolphins are super awesome and super nice and super fun to hang out with, and one of the coolest animals in the ocean. So yeah, I think they can do absolutely anything that they want to do. 100% they would be able to um, develop and become land mammals. I think 100% that that is a possibility. So another question that I got was, what is my best memory in my life? Um, and that's a really hard one, because I've had a lot of good memories. I honestly think that the other night on my 18th birthday was probably one of the best memories, even though it's super fresh, super recent. It was just the time that I spent with my family was so special, and we were just cracking up, making jokes, and um, it was just us, and it didn't really matter that we were in quarantine or whatever, per se. None of the coronavirus stuff really mattered, while we were all just sitting on the back porch, listening to music, eating dinner, and just hanging out, making jokes, and laughing for hours upon hours. And I think that was just something that really, really was super, super special to me, just because my, you know, um, families don't always get those kind of moments together. And I think that we don't cherish our families enough sometimes. I think family is something that a lot of us tend to take for granted. I'm guilty of it for sure. The time that I get to spend with the people around me, because you never know when your last moments are going to be with anybody, and it's just important to cherish the time with the people who are always going to stand by your side and have your back. And I think family is just one of those things that obviously they're gonna stand by your side and always have your back no matter what, um, because that's what families do. Because I don't know, that's just how that's just how it works, I guess. And yeah, that time was super super special for me because I don't know, it just made me realize how important family is, and the crisis that we're in, I guess, also really helped to make me realize how important family is. Because I know there are a lot of people who have lost family, and it's always tragedy that strikes that makes us realize how important these kinds of things are, just the simple things in life. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give out is to take the time to appreciate the things that um, you see as everyday, or things that you may just take for granted sometimes. Because you never know how good you have it until it's gone, and that's a cliche, but it really is true. And I know of people who have lost those kinds of pieces of their lives that they can never have back. So you've just got to cherish what you've got, and be sure to give everyone a hug, tell them that you love them, and just try and keep moving on. And that's why I try my best to impact people as positively as I can. Um, I'm obviously not perfect. I'm very flawed, and I make mistakes frequently, but I'm willing to admit that I make mistakes, and I'm willing to admit that I've made several mistakes in the past, and that I could have handled situations better than I did. Um, and if you feel like I've mishandled a situation, then I apologize sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Um, and, those kinds of things, those situations where you mess up, it's always a learning experience. Um, Mistakes are okay. You can make mistakes in life, and everyone's going to make mistakes. There was, I wrote an essay, or I was responding to a prompt in Lit one time, and I just talked about how everyone makes mistakes, and I kind of may or may not have quoted Hannah Montana at the end. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. And but that's one of those things that is like, oh my gosh, that's such a annoying cliche song or whatever, but it's so true, and it's so weird that some of those things that we just look at and we think of as just a song, it really is true in that everybody does make mistakes. But I think one of the most important things is to learn from those mistakes. I had a teacher who always told me that it was okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from those mistakes and adapt and move on. Because making mistakes is just something that shows how resilient you are. And I think people are always going to judge you based on your worst mistakes. And sometimes that is how it is. But that's just there to show you that you don't have to have everybody in this life like you. Um, Not everyone in the world has to like you. Um, because, there are some people who are just bitter. Some people who just see things differently than we do. Some people who just are mean because they want to be, and some people who are just ignorant to the fact that even they have their own flaws and that they make their own mistakes. And I think that sometimes we just got to take a step back and look and think about, are we judging people just because they made a few bad mistakes or even several bad mistakes? Or is there actually a problem? Or, you just got to take a step back and think about what you would want in that position. I'm a big person that I am a big person. One of my biggest things is that I try to empathize as much as I can. I try to take a step back, step into somebody else's shoes, and think for a minute. What would I want if I was being judged based on mistakes, even if it wasn't a mistake? Just being judged based on something that somebody didn't like. There's so many different perspectives out there in the world that sometimes whenever you do something, you can't please everybody, and you're never going to be able to please everybody. That's just how it is, because we're all different, and not everyone is going to think the same way, and not everyone's going to feel the same way about the same things that we do. And that's okay, because that's what makes us different. And it's okay to be different, and it's okay to have different perspectives from other people. I think that one of the biggest problems is that some people tend to not respect other perspectives, which, again, I'm guilty of at points, and I think everyone is. Because, again, none of us are perfect, but it's the ability to respect somebody else's perspective and still get along with that person that is important. Because you can't just go around disliking people because they've got a different perspective on life than you do. I don't understand why anyone would want to do that. You're just hindering yourself from having, more people in your life and more friends. And some people don't want to have very many friends, and that's okay, because that's your choice. But, a lot of people complain that they feel like they aren't liked by several people for whatever reason, and maybe it's because they haven't taken a second to try and really see from that person's perspective. And if you happen to not like somebody, maybe you should take a second and think about their perspective and wonder what it's like for them to have somebody constantly taking shots at them because, you happen to not agree with their decision making. I think there's a difference between hating somebody or disliking somebody or judging somebody based on their decision making and calling somebody out to try and help them. Because I'm definitely guilty of both. I've judged people based on their decisions before, and I've called people out based on decisions that they've made before. But that's just because I knew that even they knew that those decisions were not smart. Again, it's not my place to judge, but I want everyone to come out on top as best they can, come out with the best kind of results that they possibly can from whatever situation that they happen to be in. And just a side note, if you ever need to talk to somebody about absolutely anything, you can always reach out to me through DMs on Instagram, if you've got my number, Snapchat, anything like that. Because I think that one of the biggest problems is sometimes people just don't help each other. And that's a quote from Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, by the way. Little Anakin says, "Mom, you say the biggest problem in this universe is that nobody helps one another." And I think that that's true. And if you need help with anything, just let me know, and I'm going to do whatever I can to the best of my ability to help you out, because nobody should have to go through anything in life alone if they don't need to. Um, Enough said there. Anyway, yeah, I just don't judge somebody based on their worst mistake, because you have no idea what that person's been through or how they feel from being judged just because they screwed up. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And we've all made mistakes in the past. Again, learning from those mistakes and rebounding is the most important part. And that's the true test of whether or not making mistakes is worth it. Because you can make mistakes and you can continue to make mistakes and get knocked down over and over again. Or you can make a mistake and turn it around and thrive. That's how I see it. That was a bit of a tangent from the Q&A. Went into the next topic just a little bit, because life advice was one of the topics that I was going to go over as well. I'm trying to think of, I gotta look back at my notes and see what the other questions are. Oh yes, okay. Favorite year of high school? I gotta say junior year, man. I'm not gonna lie. Junior year was pretty good. Overall, anyway. There were ups and downs for sure. There have been ups and downs of every year, but I feel like workload-wise, it was super laxed. And I kind of coasted by in school. I continued to hang out with my friends. I don't know. Senior year was pretty good too, because I started hanging out with my friends a whole lot more. Like every weekend we would have a boys' night, and that was really awesome. Not that we didn't over the course of junior year, but still, I don't know. There were a lot of good parts about both of those. Obviously, the end of senior year, not quite what I expected, but again, the first half was absolutely fantastic, and I really enjoyed, being there for it. But junior year, probably overall. I went to an escape room. That was super fun. Was in 2 different shows, and both of those were really, really fun. And yeah, I went to prom. Had a cool spring break trip. Went to the beach over the summer. Went to the beach on fall break too. Yeah. Junior year, definitely amazing. Definitely really good. Overall, again. There were downs, of course, but for the most part, it was really good. And I think, looking back on that, pretty fondly. But senior year, though, man, the first half was fantastic. Right up until Corona, man. It was really good, and it probably would have had the best year. Although, I don't know, man. It's really close. I may have to give it to senior year, just because of the, what's it called? Just because of my mentor and internships at the elementary school. Again, never experienced the love and respect and just genuine interest that I felt walking into that classroom. So, if I'm being honest, yeah, senior year kind of popped off. Also, again, the boys' nights every weekend, working at the amphitheater, dude, yeah, senior year for sure. For sure. Although I haven't gotten to perform a show yet, it's still been fantastic. Still been a very, very good year. And even though I also crashed my car, it's okay. I got, my first 2 jobs, and I really enjoy both of them. Yeah. And I got to meet a lot of really cool people. I got really close with a lot of people that I met last year. And it's just been a really, really good experience. Despite having to miss the end of it, the last quarter due to coronavirus. Definitely, probably the best year for sure, and easiest workload. Like, are you kidding me? It's very very easy. Some of the stuff I just didn't want to do, but an extremely easy workload, and I love everybody who I got to meet along the way. So thank you for making senior year a one to remember for sure. All of you lovely people out there. So, going back to coronavirus and whatnot, unfortunately, that's still a thing. States reopening on Monday officially, which is going to be really interesting to see. I don't know what's going to happen. The way I look at it is we took a huge step. It was definitely not the smartest decision, but it goes one of two ways. Either the governor comes out of this looking like an absolute genius and everything's fine, or he comes out and it's much, much worse. Being in a leadership position like that is really, really difficult because you're having to make all of these decisions that are affecting hundreds of thousands of people. And there's, again, going back to the part that I talked about, you can't please everybody. There's absolutely no way for any of these political leaders to please every single person. No matter what they do, they're going to get criticized for going the opposite direction. Kemp's reopening the state. He's getting criticized for it. He had the state shut down, was getting criticized for it. It goes back and forth that you can't please everybody. And I get that it was definitely not the best decision to reopen the state, at least for me, in my opinion. But there were a lot of overwhelming factors that I'm sure went into the decision, and who knows? We got to look on the bright side and hope that things turn out fine. I'm sure that eventually everything's going to be fine, and I know that they're saying there's going to be a second surge of this, which wouldn't surprise me. But for now, we've just got to continue to do whatever it is that we need to do and continue to stay connected as best we can and help each other out and continue to just love on one another, because that's probably the most important thing, is that we just continue to look out for one another. And again, if you ever need to talk about anything at all, I am here for each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in again, because this has been a very good experience, and I really, really appreciate it. So if there's anything that I can do for any of you, please, 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 just let me know, and I will be happy to aid you with the best of my ability. Because, again, nobody should have to walk through these things alone. And I really don't want any of you to have to walk through things like this alone. So if you ever need to talk about anything at all, just please, please, please reach out to me. Again, that's enough said there. But again, yes, there is a lot of uncertainty with the reopening of the state, and with a possible second surge of this virus coming in the fall. Who knows what's going to happen at the beginning of the next school year? And for those of us going to college, who knows what's going to happen there? Because, if a second surge of this pops up, they're going to want to close things back down. People are going to have to come home from school, and it's just going to be, a repeat of what we're going through right now. Which, if the studies show that we've already hit the peak of the virus, then we should be fine. Now, I haven't looked into a lot of these things statistically because I'm not a reporter and I'm not trying to report on these things. I'm just trying to give my perspective from the knowledge that I have and what I have read about. If we are past the peak, then things should start to decline. However, I don't think we are past the peak. Therefore, things are going to continue to increase and it's going to get worse regardless of if the state opens or not. And I think that the decision was influenced by trying to open the state just to get more money flowing because people are complaining about not getting enough money through stimulus, which, again, economics and politics, a whole nother thing that I'm not going to try and get into here. But, again, the most important part of this is that we continue to help each other, and in times of crisis, I feel like that's when heroes are shown the most, is not when everyday heroes are shown the most, excuse me. Because it's just helping your neighbor, helping your fellow man or woman, and being there for those people who need help. Again, that's just my take on the matter. So, that was a topic from last week that I didn't get around to, was uncertainty in the future with Corona and whatnot. There's a very real possibility that we don't start school again in the fall on time, and it wouldn't surprise me to see. It's very unfortunate, and it's, missing out on summer, which is a whole nother ordeal that is really going to be upsetting. But again, we've got to continue to do what we've got to do and push through this together. So that's all I'm going to talk about there, because talking about the virus is pretty much the only thing that anyone does these days. And I would like to be not talking about that because I'm tired of having to hear about it all the time, because it's very unfortunate circumstances. Anyway, moving back on to questions. Let's see here. I'm trying to pull them back up. Give me 1 sec. Alright, now that we've got them pulled back up here. Coming from, oh my god, Andrew, is a hot dog a sandwich? Oh my goodness. I feel like I've talked about this before. Or maybe I thought about talking about this, but okay. So, a hot dog, is a hot dog a sandwich? Oh my gosh. Andrew says yes. Andrew seems to think that a hot dog is a sandwich. I have grown tired of trying to argue this with him and trying to argue it with anybody. A hot dog is, as much as I hate to say it, it is not a sandwich. It is a sub, which is also not a sandwich because a sandwich is 2 pieces of bread. A sub and a sandwich are 2 different things. I'm just playing. A sub is a sandwich. A hot dog is definitely not a sandwich. A sub is a sandwich. A hot dog is 1 piece of bread. Every sub that I've ever eaten has been 2 separate pieces of bread. A hot dog is the hot dog is the piece of meat that goes in between the bun, and it's a hot dog bun. It is not a sandwich. It is a hot dog. It's its own separate category. It is not a sandwich. No matter how, I will never be convinced that a hot dog is a sandwich. It does not count. It is 1 piece of bread, and you can make the argument a hoagie. It is a sandwich, but a hot dog is the meat that goes inside of the bread. A hot dog and a hot dog bun, it's just a hot dog. It is not a sandwich. And it's a hot dog inside of a hot dog bun. Thank you, and That's all I'm going to say about that. Ainsley wants to know if water is wet. Um, is water wet? Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. Water is 100% wet. And that is also something else. Never going to change my mind on that. Water is wet. Water makes other things wet. It is one of the things that gives its properties to other things. These are very unscientific terms, and they're very questions, because they're just questions. They're just questions to make people go at each other's freaking throats. And somebody was just high when they asked those questions. They don't mean anything. Come on, Andrew, you're better than that. Absolutely not. And I will not stand for those kind of silly questions in this podcast. All right. Moving on. Let's see here. Favorite sports team? Green Bay Packers, 100%. Absolutely. Been my favorite team for many years now, and will continue to be my favorite team, even though they are stupid at drafting. That's all I have to say about that. Favorite color? Blue. I've always liked the... Actually, that's not true. When I was a little kid, red was my favorite color. But since I was probably 7, blue has been my favorite color. You know, that nice dark blue. Just very beautiful. And I love the color blue. Sky, the ocean, which is just a reflection of the sky. But that's besides the point. Favorite color is blue, 100%. And yeah, that is another question down. Let's see. Favorite subject in school? History. History has always been my favorite subject. I actually wanted to teach history at one point, teach U.S. history for high school. My backup plan now is to still teach in some function. I don't know if I would go elementary level, because the kids that I got to teach this year were phenomenal and a lot of fun to be around and work with. But history's always been a passion, and I've always really enjoyed history and everything about it. I went through this was such a freaking nerdy moment in my life. But I was just sitting around one day scrolling through the list of presidents from the United States, and just learning about all of them, just interesting facts and whatnot. Just because, excuse me, just because it was interesting to me. Okay, moving on. What else have we got here? Favorite YouTuber? Andrew and Jeffrey Productions. No, I'm just playing. KKS, the Madden YouTuber. Really awesome guy, extremely positive all the time, really good at Madden, really fun to watch, and yeah, definitely my favorite YouTuber right now. He's a great guy, super positive influence, and makes really good Madden content. Person that I look up to the most? My father. Because he's always had his family's best interests at heart. He's intelligent and funny, and he knows how to deal with people. He's always been nice to people. He's always been respectful, but he also knows how to stand up when something is not right. And yeah, he's someone that if I grow up to be like my father, then I think I'm going to be A-okay. He's a great guy, and if you know Jeff, then you know he's a super nice guy, and that he loves people, for the most part, unless they're, just dumb. But, yes, I look up to my father the most. If you could have dinner with one celebrity, who would it be? Probably Johnny Cash, if he was still alive. Favorite artist of all time, 100%. Fantastic music. I talked a lot about it in the Music and More podcast, but he wrote a lot of songs that told stories, and those are just some of my favorite kinds of songs. Ballads, songs that tell stories and make you feel like you're living in certain moments. So, for that reason, I would like to have dinner with Mr. Johnny Cash, and I feel like he was a very wise guy. Him or Sinatra, just because Frank Sinatra was super cool, and ran with the mob and probably had some really interesting stories to tell. Not that he would tell all of his mob stories, but, definitely would be quite interesting to have dinner with the man himself. Alright. Favorite musician? I just said Johnny Cash, but Johnny Cash, Frank Sinatra, Eden, Garden, I Am J. Kill. Those are the 5 artists, and Breakins, the 6 artists that I have been listening to the most recently. Really enjoy all of their music. And yeah, those are all very talented people. And they're all very enjoyable to listen to. Let's see, what else have we got on the list? Trying to scroll through the questions that I've already been through. Favorite movie of all time? Ooh, that's a tough one. I really like Pearl Harbor. It's a very good movie. I really like Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, also a very good movie. Trying to think. American Sniper, another really good movie. Let's see. What other movies are there that are fantastic? Thor Ragnarok, hilarious movie, really funny. Talladega Nights, another one that is up there and is one of my favorites, just fun to watch and really funny. Yeah, all of those for sure. Favorite TV show? Arrow, White Collar, Prison Break. Those are my top 3. Not in any particular order, but those 3 are... and Avatar The Last Airbender, of course. That's one of the greatest shows of all time. And Star Wars The Clone Wars. Those 5. That's my top 5 right there, for sure. And that's the last question that I have. So, let's see here. Yeah, and if you guys have any other questions, you can comment them on Instagram or whatever. Just, you can send them to me. We can have a chit chat about whatever it is. Again, if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'll reach out. You can reach out to me anytime. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in once again. There was a lot of things that we got to go through. So, once again, I just appreciate everyone's support, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy the content that I'm putting out. I'm having a lot of fun making it. I'm having a lot of fun just sharing ideas and talking about it. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the support again. And if you haven't seen the other podcasts, make sure to go check those out. Make sure to go check out Andrew and Jeffrey Productions. special thanks to everyone who helped me celebrate my birthday. Um, Haley, Donnie and Ella, Cole and Ainsley, Andrew, Bryce, Justin, Sam, um, Corinne, Kayla, Chris, all my coworkers. Thank you guys so much for helping me celebrate on Friday. It meant so much to me. Chris, thank you for all the messages that you wrote on the gallon of sweet tea. Really, really awesome. I've actually finished the gallon today, sadly. It's gone. I'm going to have to get another one. Um, Corinne, Kayla, thank you guys for surprising me after work. Thank you for the cupcakes and all the other snacks. Kayla, thank you for the really nice card. I'm so glad to have met you guys. Corinne, you working and in physics. Kayla, thank you for putting up with me and Andrew in physics and becoming one of our closest friends. Andrew, thank you for the ravioli with the $20 bill taped to it. It made a really good lunch yesterday. Very, very good. Donnie, thank you for the cranberry sauce with the $20 bill taped to it. I ate the can this morning. I dumped the cranberry sauce out and I just ate the can by itself. So thank you thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Haley, thank you for setting up the little birthday drive-by and for all the snacks and for letting me and Andrew hang out. And Andrew, thank you also for the senior pictures that you took for me. Thank you for recreating Step Brothers pictures with me and all of that. Yeah, thank you guys so much for helping me celebrate. It really meant the world to me. And I have so much love and appreciation for each and every one of you. Thank you for making the 18th a one to remember for sure. And that's where we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want. No pressure. You do you. Leave some love in the comments, some jokes or something, and other video suggestions, other podcast suggestions in the comments as well. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your night. Much love, and yeah, good night, guys.